I'll be your tour guide for tonight's journey through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Are we all excited? Awesome. All right, now there is some stuff I need to go over with you, some stuff that you need to know. Number one, it is starting to get a little bit darker outside, so I am going to ask that for the safety of the animals and the courtesy of the guests around you, that you do refrain from the use of flash photography, flashlights, and external video lighting of any kind. You do not want to scare these animals as it gets darker out here. Number two, please remain seated at all times. Do not stand up. Now, if we little ones seat on laps, that is perfectly fine. Just make sure they stay seated on your lap the entire safari. Do not lift them up into the air like you're Rafiki and this is the Lion King. It is not the time. And number three, please hold on tightly to anything valuable that you do not want to lose. Cameras, magic bands, your favorite family member. I am not allowed to stop the truck to pick up anything that falls off. Now, above you, you have an animal spotting guide, and it's going to help you identify the different animals that you might see out here on our reserve today. Now, you might not see all of them, but typically we have pretty good luck out here. And if you're planning on taking photos, I recommend having your cameras out and ready to go, because you never know when we're going to see an animal, and you never know how long we're going to be able to stop. Now, right on our right-hand side, as soon as we enter, we have an okapi. Now, a lot of people think that okapis are related to zebras because it looks like they are, but they're not. They're actually the only known relative of the giraffe. Now, we know this because they use their tongues to grab leaves off the bottom of the trees, just like giraffes do. And they can also use their tongues to lick their own eyeballs, which is my favorite fact. Now, the okapi is pretty shy and reclusive. It was not discovered until 1901. People thought that it was a myth up until that time. It was only villagers who had seen them before who really knew the truth. Now, we are in the Little Aturi Forest. Animals here love to use camouflage. That's using their natural markings to help them blend into their surroundings. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye out. We do not want to miss anything out here. See, nothing down here by these watering holes. Typically, they're great spots to find animals. I guess not around this time of day. Let's see. Now, be sure to check down in the brush as well. You never know what we're going to be able to find. Sometimes antelopes like to hide down there. And actually, speaking of antelopes, I think I see some up ahead. Oh, and there they are. Out on our left-hand side, we have some greater kudus. Now, they are the second tallest antelopes in the world. They come up to around 55 inches at the shoulder. Now, we can tell apart if they're male or female because the males have horns that'll grow to be around 6 feet long, and the females have no horns at all. Now, we're actually going to head on out of the Little Aturi Forest. You might notice we have a changing ecosystem here. It looks like we're headed into the Safi River. Now, Safi River is home to a lot of watering holes, and watering holes are home to a lot of different animals, but I think we're going to be looking for the hippo. You know, it is pretty hard to miss a hippo. They can weigh up to around 5,000 pounds. And even if we don't see a hippo, we might be able to hear a hippo. Hippos communicate with each other using a sound called a wheeze honk. It sounds really silly, but it's true. Now, some wheeze, some honk. Some wheeze and honk. The sound is individual to each hippo. It's how they tell each other apart. Now, you also want to be looking out in the water here. If you see any movement under the water that looks like a hippo, chances are you are looking at a hippo. Hippos love to spend time under the water. It's how they stay cool on hot and humid days. Looks like we have a float of hippos out on our left-hand side. Now, they can spend up to around 8 minutes under the water without coming up for air. They can sometimes even sleep under the water as well. Now, a group of hippos are called a bloat, and those birds on the rocks there, they're called the pink-backed pelicans. Now, they're given their name because their backs turn pink during their mating season. A group of those pelicans are called a pod. Now, you will see hippos leave the water for just about one reason, and that reason is to eat. They will eat the vegetation on those outer banks. In fact, they'll eat around 80 pounds of vegetation every single day. Now, that seems like it's a lot, but it's actually very little in comparison to their total body weight. And they are herbivores, so all they eat is that vegetation. All right, now those are not hippos. Out on our left-hand side, we have some Nile crocodiles down there. Now, Nile crocodiles, they can spend around 2 hours under the water without coming up for air. Sometimes you'll see them with their mouths wide open. And what they are trying to do with their mouths wide open is cool down. They get hot just like we do, but they're cold-blooded and they can't sweat. They need a way to release all of that heat, so they'll open up their mouths and all of that heat will escape. It'll cool them down by about 12 degrees. It works pretty well for them. But we're going to head away from those crops. We're going to head towards the savannah. Now, before we reach the savannah, we're going to see this tree. It'll be coming up on our right-hand side. It is called a baobab tree, and it's nicknamed the upside-down tree. You're about to see why in just a moment. And there it is out on our right-hand side, the baobab tree, the upside-down tree, given its name because, well, it looks like it is upside down. Now, it is not really upside down, it's just leafless 9 months out of the year. It'll get its leaves during the rainy season. That came to an end in August, and it'll start back up again in May. Now, those trees claim to be around 1,000 to 2,000 years old. They have a pretty incredible lifespan. All right, now heading down this hill here. This is my favorite spot on the reserve. This is Savannah Overlook. Get a really gorgeous view of the savannah out here. Let's see, I can already see some animals out here way off in the distance. I also see some giraffes. They're pretty hard to miss. Alright, now the first animals that we're going to see are out on our right-hand side. Now they look like cows with gigantic horns. They're called the Ankoli cattle. Now their horns can grow to be around 3 to 4 feet long. Blood will circulate through those horns and help keep their body cool, so they do serve a purpose other than just decoration. Now, they're actually seen as a sign of wealth by the Maasai tribe. So what the Maasai tribe will do, since you can't put cattle in a bank, they'll build these thorny structures called bomas, and it'll help keep them contained without harming them. So that way, the more cattle that you have, the wealthier that you are. Now, they are also called the Watusi cattle. They were first domesticated by the Watusi tribe. They're actually the only domesticated animal out on this reserve. Ooh, we do that baby giraffe running across. Also on our left-hand side, we have some spotted hyenas. There's actually one right on top of that rock there, on top of that little cave. Now, a lot of people, when they think of hyenas, they think of their laugh or of their giggle. Now, they're not really laughing or giggling. It's more just what their vocalizations sound like. They can also sound like a ghost booing. Now, they are a pretty intense matriarchy. The lowest ranking female will still rank higher than the highest ranking male. And they'll eat around 1/3 of their body weight every single day in food. Alright, so we have those Ankoli cattle crossing the road. Also on our left-hand side, we have some Patterson's eland. The Patterson's eland is some of the largest antelopes in the world. They weigh up to around 2,000 pounds, come up to about 6 feet at the shoulder. There actually some baby elands out here as well. They're the newest additions to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They're pretty adorable. Are you going to move a little bit out of the way? Maybe just a little bit. Are you going to move with me instead? Okay. Alright, now no one touch the Ankoli cattle as we drive on by. I hear ya, I hear ya. Gives us some wildebeest out on our left-hand side, oh my goodness. And some giraffes out on our right-hand side. Now these are Maasai giraffes. There are two main types of giraffes, Maasai and reticulated. You can tell apart by looking at their spots. A Maasai giraffe will have rough edges on its spots. A reticulated giraffe will have very smooth edges on its spots. And there you go, running again. I'll stop for you. Alright, there we go.
All the little babies right there.
Now, baby giraffes, when they're born, they'll come in around 6 feet tall, up and running within about an hour of their lives. They can grow to be 18 to 20 feet tall, with their tongues being around 18 inches. Now, they will use those tongues to grab leaves off the bottom of the trees. That is called pruning.
Yeah.
We also have a whole herd of white-bearded wildebeest out here on our left-hand side. There are those gray animals. Now, they're given their name because of their white beards, but they're also called the news. Cows make a mooing sound. These news make a mewing sound. They're known for their large migrations. You're never really going to see one traveling alone. In fact, if you do see one traveling alone, you should probably get out of the way because it means that a whole lot more are coming. You typically don't want to be there when they do. Now, out on our right-hand side, we also have some tiny little antelopes out here called springboks. They are my favorite animals out here on the reserve. They only grow to be around 60 pounds, and they can jump 6 feet in the air without a running start and leap 13 feet across. Now when they do that together, it is called pronking, and it looks ridiculous, and that is why I love them so much. They are my favorite animals out here. It's really cute when they pronk. Oh, and there we have another Patterson's eland out on our left-hand side. You can see that's a male out there, pretty large in stature. Now at the top of the hill here, we have a few more baobab trees. Now the one on our right actually has a bunch of holes in it. Now those holes let me know that elephants have been nearby and they've stuck their tusks into the trunk of that tree to get the water that is stored inside. It's sort of like the tree is a juice box and the elephant is the straw. That's how I like to think of it. We are coming towards elephant territory. Let's see if we can find any on here. They might have gone in for dinner. That's entirely possible as well. Now the elephants that inhabit this area are African elephants. A great way to tell is by looking at their ears. Their ears are actually shaped like the continent of Africa. Now they will flap those ears when they want to cool down. And sometimes you'll see them with hay on their heads or dirt on their backs. Those are other methods of cooling off. Now the dirt on their backs can also act as a sunblock because elephant skin can burn just like ours and it is incredibly sensitive. But I have something just as exciting as elephants coming up on our left-hand side. It's flamingos. Woo! All right, just me. Great. All right, now these are greater flamingos, one of the largest breeds of flamingos. They will hatch gray but turn pink, and that is due to the carotene in their diet. Now that diet consists mostly of shrimp and krill. It'll take about a year of eating that diet for them to turn completely pink. And now there are some babies out there on our left-hand side. They have black feathers on the edges of their wings, gray in color. Kind of have little splotches of pink pointing through. And a group of flamingos are called a flamboyance. Now out on our left-hand side, I want to point out this gigantic mud pit here. It's called a mud wallow. It's where white rhinos love to roll around. White rhinos get overheated incredibly easily. They weigh up to around 5,000 pounds. So they'll take a dip in that mud and it'll help cool them off. Sort of like taking a dip in the pool does for us. As we get closer, you're going to see some of their favorite spots to roll around in that mud. As mentioned before, they're 5,000 pounds. They leave quite an impression. We're going to be looking up on the hill on our left-hand side to see if we can find any cheetahs. Now, cheetahs can go 0 to 65 miles in about 3.5 seconds. They are most active during the day, making them diurnal. They're actually getting ready to go to bed right around now. Now, since they're exposed to sunlight so often, they have dark markings on the inner corners of their eyes. That'll help reflect the sun, sort of act like a pair of sunglasses for them. And out on our right-hand side, we have a white rhino coming down this hill there. Now, white rhinos are given their name not because of their color, but because of the Afrikaans word vite. Now, that word vite, it means wide, and it refers to their jaws. Their jaws are very wide set. Now, a group of white rhinos are called a clash. They can charge up to around 35 miles per hour, but that one seemed pretty content. Now, out on our left-hand side, this rock structure here is called a kopie. It's where we can find some lions. We're going to see if we can find any out here. Now, lions are nocturnal animals most active at night. During the day, their vision is around the same as ours. At night, it's about 6 times more powerful, so it makes sense that they'd want to be a little bit more active. You can still see that white rhino is walking along here. It looks like it took a dip in the mud. Oh, it looks like we have those lions out on our left-hand side. Now, lions are inactive around 16 to 20 hours a day. Most of the time that you see a lion, they'll be napping or resting. Now the females will go out and do most of the hunting. The males will stay at home and look after the cubs. They're sort of the stay-at-home dads. At least that's how I like to think of them. Now a male's mane will become darker the more dominant that he becomes in his pride. Left, we have some holes where warthogs love to burrow. They'll burrow in with their backsides first and leave their tusks exposed. And those tusks are razor sharp because predators know to stay away from those razor sharp tusks. We have that white rhino once again. We also have some bontaboks out here. Now, bontaboks are relatives of the white bearded wildebeest. Their coats can look purple in the right light. They have the same long and angular face. Also, underneath that tree there, we also have some ostrich eggs. They can weigh up to around 3 pounds each. An ostrich can stand on those eggs without breaking them. They are incredibly durable. They take around 40 days to hatch.
He said they run over.
They have an ostrich. It's usually around here.
Alright, now we are headed into the Magadi Glen. This is one of the final parts of our tour. So let's see what we can find out here. Alright, now out on our right-hand side, back in the water there, we have some birds. Those birds are called yellow-billed storks. They're given their name because of their yellow bills, and they are carnivores. They love to go into the water after crocodiles have eaten, because it means that they get to eat whatever has been stirred up. So they will eat lizards or snakes or even smaller birds, just really whatever they find out there. That looks yummy. Alright, now friends, we are approaching the end of our tour, but I do want to leave you all with a message, and that message is to fall in love with these animals, whether it be that you read about them, or you watch videos of them, or you just look at photos that you took today, because I love these animals. I truly do. I think that we all should, because when you love something, you want to protect it, and I want these animals to be as loved and protected as much as they possibly can. That way, future generations get to love and protect them as well. It's that simple. I think that the first step to conservation is to learn about and love what you're trying to conserve. Also to recycle, because that really, really helps. Now, if we have any wilderness explorers on board my truck, the name of my truck is the Simba 1. Now that is Simba just like the lion and the number 1. And that's on page 15 of your guidebook, so you can get your badge up at the front of the park at Guest Relations. Now friends, here in Harambe, we do not like to say goodbye. It is much too sad and it is far too final. Instead, we like to say kwaherini. Now kwaherini is an old Swahili phrase. It means to go well. So kwaherini friends, I do hope that you go well on your next adventure. I want to thank you so much for joining me. I had a great time showing you all around. I hope that you had a great time as well. Once again, my name is Rachel, and have a fantastic rest of your night here at Disney's Animal Kingdom.